Hello guys, welcome to this live stream. So in this live stream, I will basically talk about JavaScript iterables and iterators. So it's a ES6 concept. Iterables and iterators we will look at in JavaScript with a very simple example. We have created this index.html. I am including this index.js file. So now let me show you what are iterables. Iterables are nothing but it's a function which contains two properties. Let me first of all tell you what are iterables and iterators. So these are two different things, iterables, and let me show you. So let's suppose we declare a array here. Let me give a name, and we have in double quotes we have John Williamson. This is actually the name here. And there are now two different ways by which we can loop through each character in this string, which is we will print out each individual character in this string. So JOHN space, all these characters are there inside this string. So we can basically do this by two things. We can declare a variable, or we can loop through it directly by using for loop. And we can say const x, and we can use the of operator, and then we can say the name, and inside curly brackets we can simply declare a variable here, text, which will be empty by default. And what we can do is can concatenate text, and we can simply say x plus break tag. So you will basically see each individual character will be seen after a break tag will be there. So if I just console log text here, so if you see in the console, what should happen? It will iterate through using this for loop, and inside this of operator, basically it will print out each individual character JOHN. If I just show you in the browser, go to inspect element, go to console, you will see that. So J followed by break tag, this one. So if you want to basically do this, that you can print out in the console as well. So in the browser, you can basically have a div tag. You can give it an ID of result. So we can simply manipulate the inner HTML, just target it by the document.getElement by ID result. Inner HTML is equal to text. So you will basically see it will be printed out. Each character will be processed, and you will basically see this is the result. JOHN. So this is very useful when you want to process strings character by character. So in under the hood, it is using the concept of JavaScript iterables and iterators. It is calling a special function called as next, which actually contains a value, and the second parameter is done. So iterables are nothing but, let me show you actually. Now I will not use this for loop. Instead, I will use the concept of iterables. So this is actually a array. If you see this name parameter inside curly brackets, it's actually a array. Inside each array, this individual character is zero index, then it is 1, 2, 3. So now if you want to print out string, this is actually an array, so we will use square brackets. So inside this symbol dot, if you just type symbol here, there will be a property called as iterator. You will see that. You just need to print out iterator. It's actually a function, so we just need to call like this. So if you just see here, and it is saying string is not defined, so sorry, it's the name here. And what you will basically see, it is basically a function string iterator. And if you elongate this, you will basically see iterables have a function called as next. They return a function called as next, which have two properties, value, and you can see the name parameter, which is text. So it has two properties, the value and the done property. So if I basically call this function, you can change this. We can simply iterator, call this function, and then call this next function. So, but you can see that, guys, basically we have two properties here inside this next function. First property is the actual value, which is in this case the first character in the string, which is j. And in the done property, it is a Boolean parameter. It is saying that there are more characters in the string, so done property will be false. So if all the characters are reached, then does this done property will change from false to true. Now let me just show you. We can basically also print out individual properties dot value. It will print out the character here, which is j. You will see that. So in this easy way, you can basically print out some more characters, which is, let's suppose I only have three characters. So if I call this three times, you will basically see 1, 2, 3. So after these three characters are reached, guys, you will basically see the property of done. And if I once again call this one more time, because three characters are there, if I call it for the fourth time, so what you will basically see, symbol dot iterator. So we can even define our custom iterators as well, guys. If you want to define your custom iterables, you can even define them also. So let's suppose you want to define your own custom iterable. So we will simply write here custom iterators. I will simply call just my numbers, and this will be an empty object. And we can make it iterables by invoking this symbol dot iterator. Essentially, it's a function. So it's a simply a function. And here we will write let n is equal to 0 and done is false. So these two properties we will be returning from this iterator, the actual value and the Boolean parameter which is done, which is the initial value is false. And then we will return a function from this, which is essentially next function. You need to call this. So you can call this anything, but I am just calling it next here just for the clarity purpose. And here we will increment the value of n by 10. This is actually logic of this iterator. And then we will simply compare that if the value of n reaches 100, in that case, we just need to change the value of done to true. So just say plus equal to. And then if the value of n is not 100, in that case, we will return a function from this, and it will contain a object which will contain two properties, the actual value and the done parameter, which is the value of done. This is the actual logic of this function. We are simply returning a function from this iterable, which is next function, and from this next function we are returning an object which will contain two properties, the value and the done parameter. So now if you call this custom iterable in the loop, let's suppose I say text is equal to, and I again use that for loop const, this time num of my numbers, which is a custom iterable that we created, you will see. And now if I say text plus is equal to number, actual number, and the break tag. So we can simply document.getElement by id result.innerhtml to text. If you see in the browser, it will print out from 10 to 90. This is our custom iterable, the logic that we written, guys. So you can change the logic accordingly. If you increment it by 20, you will only receive here 20, 40, 60, 80, because as soon as the value reaches 100, we are basically returning done property, which is set to false at default. We are changing it to true. So when it reaches done to true, we are basically returning from this iterable. We are not incrementing the value. Once it reaches 100, we are simply making this done parameter to true. So in that case, the symbol.iterable will close out. So if you call this anything else, this function, then this basically it will not work, because next you need to call this function as next. This is the convention, because in iterable this is the function that it will return. Next function it will return, and it will actually contain these two properties: the actual value of the iterable and the actual done parameter. It's a Boolean parameter which will signify if the operation has to be done more or not. So here you can define your own condition, business logic, if you want to create your own custom iterables whenever you're developing applications. So this was the tutorial on ES6 iterables and iterators. You can use them using for loop and the off operator. This is the actual thing about in ES6 JavaScript. And I think it's a very good concept. You should learn about it because it is asked in interviews, mostly in JavaScript interviews. You need to have a good understanding of this JavaScript iterables and iterators. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will be seeing you in the next live stream.